So, guys, this is my weekly report for October 4th. I know I'm a day late. I was up at Pyramid Lake yesterday. I went up there, Seps and we joined Sean, Corey, and Steve, and we went up to Pyramid and did a little trolling and a little jigging. And we caught probably over 25 fish. I got one around 18. Seps got one over 10. And we caught some other, in that 8 to 10 pound range. It wasn't on fire, but it was actually a good day. We probably lost just as many as we caught. They're biting real finicky, but it's always a nice place to go because you have that chance of getting one over 20. Mark Blatton was up there with Nate the day before we got there, and Mark got his personal best. He got one over 20, and they caught like 12 over 15. So the fishing up there is not off the hook because there's a lot of times I went up there 2 years ago and caught like 80 or 100, but it was a good bite. You get a lot of action, and it's always a good quality fish in that lake. There's nowhere in the world you could go out and catch trout over 20 pounds. So if you got a chance, go on up to Pyramid. It's a nice fishery up there. Other things I've been doing, earlier in the week, I went out stripers. I fished the Sherman area. It's been a little slow for me. The water temperatures climbed back up, in the 70s, and a lot of the fish moved back out towards the bay. Um, I got a lot of friends that are fishing anywhere from Liberty Island all the way out Pittsburgh, and it's been a little quiet. The guys that are trolling, like Mark Wilson, um, him and Bob, a friend of mine, been going out there, been doing okay, but they go 70 miles in one day. They're traveling a lot, and they're getting a school here and there. Like when we were out there, we were catching them, throwing swim baits in 3 to 5 feet of water, and we probably caught maybe 10 or 12, but I have to work for them. So there's not a whole lot of fish in the system. A lot of them, I think, went back out toward the bay and get in a little cooler water. And as soon as we get a rain and some cooler where it doesn't, temperatures aren't in the 90s no more, then those fish will make their big move, get in the delta, stay there until spring when they move up in the river to spawn. And that's when I'm going to start hitting it more heavily. Um, I went out bass fishing. I went out with Ron and Luke. Luke's 11-year-old that's got a TLC coming up here, so we went out and looked around and we found some bass. We caught a lot of fish. It was blowing 30 miles an hour the day I took them. We caught a lot of fish, but no big ones, maybe 3.5 pounds the biggest. But for this time of the year, the way the weather is, that's doing pretty good. Other things going on, everybody's always in that bluefin and albacore, but they seem to have moved out further offshore. And plus the weather has just been really bad. We this year, like I've always been telling you guys, I've never seen so much wind. This time of the year it usually calms down a little bit, but it's been just windy, windy, windy. So the albacore and the bluefin haven't heard too much. There's been some guys catching some bluefin, but it's been kind of quiet I think because of the weather. We got crab season opening the first Saturday in November. The shallow rock fishing will be open, and the deep water. I'm pretty sure you have to check your regs and make sure. But that way there, when we're out like at Bodega dumping our pots out in 80, 100 feet, dumping, you can't use pots. You have to use the nets. Those lobster nets seem to work the best. And you could go do some bottom fishing. So it's going to be a lot better. Last year, when we went, you crab and that's it. Unless you went all the way out to Fairlawn, out about Rittenberg, and then go out there and, crab. The guys that like the Caledon, they could do it. They got the bigger boat. They go out there, dump their pots in 200 feet of water and get crabs and some nice rockfish. So other than that, as far as watch the weather, see what you could get on these sites and see where the warm water is, and see it go in and out offshore. When it's out there 50, 60, 70 miles, it's a long ways to go after those tuna. So San Francisco Bay's still been good for halibut. You could look at Cal Don. He's been killing the stripers. So all those stripers that came in the Delta about 3 weeks ago, the water warmed back up and they moved back out there. It's cooler. They adapt to the temperature better out there, and they're catching a lot of stripers. Halibut fishing, it's just that it's been going on for so long, but they're still catching them. So if you can go to the bait receiver, get some live anchovies, and you'll be able to catch stripers and halibut. Leopard shark. The leopard shark fishing has been crazy, and I don't know if some of the six packs are still doing it, but you could always call J Lopes, Ricky Acosta, Steve Mitchell, and James even on Caldon takes a day off or something and goes and does that shark fishing. But any of these guys, you could just Google their names and it'll give you all the information you need to contact them. And I know James was looking at doing some tuna runs when the weather permits, but you have to call them. And I think Ricky does it too, but you call them up and then they put you on a list and they would call you and maybe give you a 1 to 3 day notice, so it's got to be like call you and then you're going to jump on and sign up and get out there with them. So you can always call and do that if you want. So check your regs on this one because sturgeon fishing October 1st opened up for catch and release only. So you can't keep them. Everything you catch, you have to release them. So you might want to read the regs because they might have something in there and how you have to handle these fish or whatever. Just be careful, because they are letting us catch and release. So there's guys that are doing. I know Jay's going to be doing it, full bore, and probably Ricky Acosta. So the getting back to the stripers, the Delta's been, on and off. I think the guys that are doing better are guys that are trolling. I know Mark Wilson and Bob, a friend of mine, been trolling. They've been using the deep diving Yozuris in like 15 feet of water. They cover like 50 to 70 miles a day looking for these fish, but once they find them, they'll catch like 5 or 10, and they're fishing all day, and they might have a 20, 30 fish day. But when you're trolling, you're covering a lot of water. Like I said, they're covering a lot of miles on the water, and like when I'm out there casting, I might only cover a block. So there's not a whole lot of fish in the system, but if you put that kind of miles on there, you're probably going to have better luck. So the striper scene is, I anticipate as soon as the weather starts cooling off, where our days are only getting the 80s, and then we get a rainstorm come through, then all hell is going to break loose. Those fish, once they move in that delta, they make that their home all the way until the spring, when they head upriver, when the water warms up, and they go up there to spawn. So the bass in the delta has been pretty decent. I would suggest throwing top water like a buzzbait or whopper popper or something over the grass beds, and like anywhere from 1 to 5 feet of water. And then after that, the morning goes on, and I pick up my flipping stick. And this is the time of year when they'll move into the wood and the weeds. A lot of times I'll use a blade first just to cover water, and then after that I pick up that flipping stick or my punching rod. And it's been pretty decent out there. I was out there the other day with Ron and Luke. Luke's got a little TLC coming up, so we went out there and looked around. 30-mile-an-hour winds. Like I told you, the wind's been terrible. But we caught a lot of fish. Nothing big, maybe 3 pounds, but we caught them on blades and flipping. And I'm sure you could probably put a square bill on and catch some fish too. Another thing coming up with the bass fishing is, fish kind of know fall's coming around because of the length of the days. And the lakes, this is the time of the year I really love going to, like Berryessa, Folsom, Orville, and I'll go grafting around the main channels and find these big balls of bait, because threadfin shad in the fall, they move up in the rivers to spawn. So these bass just follow them. So I usually just go up there and graft. One of the things I also look for is the greaves, those birds that dive on the surface, and look for them because they're always hovering over the bait. and watch them. Sometimes they'll push the bait into the shore. I did a video last year at Berryessa where I was following the greaves and I see them where they were close to the bank and wait, watch them, and then pretty soon when they get inside there, I go in there and throw a jerk bait or a spoon and catch the heck out of them. I did a video on it, so if you look back in the archive on all these videos on YouTube, I did over 200 of them. You could go and look and see, what's going on, what I'm doing. So one of the things also is like during this time of year for the bass in the fall is using your electronics. Use your electronics to find them, find the bait, and then you'll see the fish. Once you start spooning, you'll see your graph just light up in 2D. Your arcs are going to be all over the place. And one of the things about getting back to electronics is when I was at Pyramid yesterday, he had a live target on there, so you could actually see him. And Sips was standing right next to me, and he was watching that screen and watching his jig, and he just about knew when he was going to get hammered. You'd see him come up to the spoon. Sometimes they would follow it, and you'd hurry up and reel it, and to get him to chase it, and they would swack at it. So your electronics are really, really big, important this time of the year, especially when you're doing this kind of fishing, because you're fishing vertical. You can see it clear as day. So learn how to use that thing. And I see them in 2D also. So not only the live, but you could also use your 2D. Trout fishing, Eagle Lake. It's on fire. It's You could call Tim Noxon. Even if you don't even want to hire him as a guide, you could call him and he'll tell you what's going on. But it's been off the hook there. This year it really turned on. They're using a lot of spoons catching them, and they're catching some nice Eagle Lake trout there. Also, the trout fishing around here locally, Big Nate's been killing them at Berryessa still. I think the size might be coming down a little bit, but still 15 to 18-inch trout is big for around here, if you ask me. And once in a while, they're getting a 5-pounder. Orville, it's kind of a sleeper. Haven't heard too much, but the guides up there have been doing really well, catching rainbow trout up to 5, 6 pounds. So, trout fishing this time of the year, when it starts picking up really good. So you might want to pick up your gear and go try that. Kokanee fishing, kind of like coming to an end, where the fish are starting to move up the creeks. They start to get ready to spawn. So a lot of them are going to start turning. The males are going to start turning red. The nose starts hooking on them. But, this is just the time of the year. You could still smoke them. They're still really good eating. But basically, I would look up around the main creek channels and troll. So like Bullard, Stampede, New Malonis, Party, I heard they're still getting them. So, if it's something that's kind of late in the season, but, they're still very good table fare as far as smoking. King salmon, haven't heard a lot about it, but always Berryessa around here, Folsom, Orville, you should be able to catch those things. Use your electronics and just find them. Crappie fishing. This is the time of the year in the fall when I start going out looking for them. My brother Ron and Ed went this last weekend and they caught easy limits. They were somewhere up north in a delta, and they just smacked them. And I also had another friend call me 2 weeks ago and told me that he had over 100 fish a day. I'll be going up to Berryessa looking around because I love going up there catching them, because last year we were catching 2-pounders up there pretty steady. So I'll be up there pretty quick, and I'll let you guys know. So any other stuff going around here, they're still catching steelhead in the American River and stripers. And a couple of the guys that I work with over at the warehouse, Kyler Perry and Austin Wilson, who's not there no more, but they guide locally here. And if you want to stay close somewhere and go catch some steelhead in a drift boat or catch some stripers, give them a call. You could Google each one of them. Austin has a YouTube channel, and you could just Google their names and you can find them. Don't forget blind squirrel, because Derek's been out there fishing Berryessa. He's been going all over the place, and he's one of the guys that he'll post what he did that day, even if he don't catch any, he still posts it. So that's a good thing. So you'll know whether it's good or bad. And don't forget, every Saturday morning, um, California Sportsman's and Ultimate Bass Radio on 1140 on the AM dial. At 640, I'm on there. And like this, the first Saturday of the month, so I'll be in the studio talking about pyramid. And I think we're going to get a hold of Corey, and we're going to talk about what we did, on the SEP show. And then, if you guys need any boat repairs, electronics, or buy a new boat, even, uh, give Gone Fishing and Marine a call. Ask for Mark and tell him I sent you. I took the 20-foot Duckworth back. It's a fully loaded boat. It has 25 or 26 hours on it. It's like brand new. It's an awesome boat, and I brought it back. They already ordered me a new one. So, if you're looking for a boat, go over there and talk to me. He might make you a heck of a deal on there. So anyway, if you like the video, hit that like. Please subscribe. And if you want to leave me a comment, I'll get back to you within a few days. And good luck fishing, and I'll see you guys on the water. See you next week.